The movie opens with Yuri standing near a pile of bullets, talking about the sheer number of guns available around the world. Meet Yuri Orlov, a Ukrainian immigrant. His name isn't really Yuri Orlov because his family are actually Jewish. Yuri also has a brother Vitaly, whom he's close. He'd go about his day trying to make ends meet, but one day he gets caught in some gang business. They came carrying AKs and shot up the place. That's when it hit him. People will want guns just as much as food. He managed to make a deal at his local synagogue for some Israel-made Uzis, but he has no idea what he was doing when the people walked in the motel. He explains the gun too much like a salesman. Yuri realizes just how lucrative this business can be as he walks into the restaurant. Vitaly is working in the kitchen and making a sauce that Yuri loved. Yuri and Vitaly talk about expanding the business on a rooftop. He wants to supply countries with guns, not just small-time gangsters. He asks Vitaly to be his partner, and with a tinge of reluctance in his voice, Vitaly agrees. It was the 80s, and at a gun show, the boys meet Simeon Weiss, a famed arms dealer who tells Yuri to become smarter in his deals to go bigger. He goes to Lebanon to find huge stockpiles of weapons left by the US military. They are going to sell them by the kilo, even bribing military officials. But Yuri is still not happy with the money. They turn a corner and get shot at by a group of rebels, and in the crack, they see little boys being executed. He supplied every army around the world, Somalia, Malaysia, even Afghanistan. His weapons were 8 of the top 10 war zones in the world. Yuri has a container back home. He uses it to store some of his guns and passports, all he needs for his many aliases. One day, Yuri and Vitaly are on a ship, running guns across the ocean. Yuri is still selling on the phone. Then he gets another call. The cops are on their way. It was too late to escape. They had to change the ship's name in time, and even the flag was changed to a Dutch flag. Interpol agent Jack Valentine was there, the man who wanted to catch Yuri at any cost. But the search was stopped when they found week-old potatoes in the containers. The guns were hidden in there. Yuri prefers to get paid in cash, but one Colombian drug lord pays him in cocaine. Yuri doesn't want it until the drug lord shoots him in the kidney. They celebrate in the car with some of the cocaine. When Yuri was storing the cocaine, he found one missing. It was Vitaly who took it. He found his brother in Bolivia, making a map of Ukraine with the cocaine that he was snorting. Yuri gets him up and takes him to a rehab center. He is still obsessed with Ava Fontaine, so one day he buys out a fancy hotel and book her for a fake photo shoot. So they meet. With no one else there, his odds were high. He invited her to go back home with him on his jet, but it wasn't his. He tells her he works in transport as they talk about their past. Eventually, the two get married. He comforts her for not having her parents here, until Vitaly crashes their moment and gets them to dance. It is now Christmas of 1991, and his boy walks for the first time, but Yuri is glued to the TV to care. The Cold War is over, and Yuri cares more about that than he does about his son. Yuri tells Vitaly he is going back to Ukraine. Vitaly kisses him and tells him to be careful. Yuri is now in Ukraine, making deals to buy guns from his uncle Dmitry Volkov. There is a massive stockpile of weapons with no owners, especially AK-47s. Yuri even gets his hands on tanks and helicopters. But he's not the only one. Simeon Weiss is there as well. Yuri meets him there and they go to a fancy restaurant so Yuri can gloat about beating Simeon to the punch. Simeon asks Yuri to work together, but Yuri refuses right there, angering Simeon, who walks away. The AK-47 is the most important and popular gun in the world because it's so reliable. Yuri packs up all the merchandise, but there's a problem. Jack is at the entrance looking for proper paperwork. Jack manages to get in, but when they get to the helicopters, all the attached guns are off. They hold Yuri at gunpoint and ask for papers, so he gives it to them. Jack is mad, but Yuri knows that he is covered by the paperwork that agrees with the rules. 2 days later, Dmitry turns down Simeon one last time. Yuri gives him a car, but when Dmitry goes in to start it, it explodes. That night, he calls Ava, and they talk about the day. He asks about his son, and he tells her he'll be home soon. Yuri is in Monrovia, Liberia. The best business is in Africa. It's the best place to sell guns due to the many conflicts. And Liberia is where Yuri does his business. As Yuri was about to leave, the dictator's son comes to invite him to meet his father. Yuri tries to refuse, but the boy insists, so they drive recklessly as Yuri sat at the back. The dictator, Andrei Baptiste, is sitting in his office checking out a gun. Yuri is selling him new guns when he shoots a soldier next to him. Andrei laughs at him for wanting to clean it, so they agree on a deal. Andrei Jr. is a maniac who allegedly eats people. They reach a hotel, and Andrei Jr. asks for the gun of Rambo, and Yuri tells him, absolutely. There is a present waiting for him in the room. When he walks inside, he sees two beautiful women. But this is a very AIDS-infested country, so Yuri is very scared, so he kicks them out. Andrei shows Yuri his child soldiers, saying a bullet is just as deadly from a child's hands as a man. Andrei wants to pay less, but Yuri doesn't give up so easily and convinces him further. Andrei offers him to pay in diamonds or wood, so Yuri chooses the diamonds. But if Andrei can delay his war for a week, Yuri can get him armored carriers. That's when Andrei calls him a lord of war. Yuri has gotten so rich now, he has started buying his wife's art, pretending to be someone else. He even acts surprised when he came home. Yuri meets Vitali's new girlfriend and goes to give his son a gift, a telescope. But when he finds a toy gun at his bed and takes it away, Yuri is in the kitchen talking to Vitali, who mentions telling Yuri's business to Ava, but Yuri stops him. Yuri is in his car, trying to make a deal when he hears about Andrei trying to strike peace. There is a helicopter following him, so the driver goes off into a tunnel and Yuri gets out of the car in there and heads to his container to put up his wife's painting. Ava calls him and says there are people looking through the garbage, but he tells her there's nothing to worry about. It's Jack and his team who find shredded papers, and Jack puts the papers back together, solving the puzzle. Yuri has a fleet of planes running guns around the world now. Sometimes he flies without paperwork, until one day they get intercepted by a fighter plane that tells them to land at an airport. Yuri tells the pilots to land on the highway rather than go to the airport. The pilot manages to land the plane barely on the dirt road, nearly missing people walking down the street. The pilots run away as soon as it stops. Yuri is left by himself with a plane full of guns. So he decides to give the guns to the locals, and they take it all, storming the plane in the process. Soon enough, Jack gets there with his team and one guy wants to kill him, but Jack refuses because he sticks to the rules. Jack confronts him about how he is selling guns to people who want to kill each other, but there is no evidence despite Yuri saying he trades guns. But Jack is legally allowed to hold him for 24 hours, so Jack just leaves him there handcuffed. So people come by and take apart the plane through the day and night. Yuri is still there when Interpol comes back, but the plane is gone. That night, Yuri gets to the hotel and finds Andrei there with Simeon tied up, saying it's a gift for Yuri. Andrei hands Yuri a gun to kill Simeon. Yuri doesn't want to kill anyone, but Andrei puts the gun in his hand, and Yuri doesn't stop him, so they pull the trigger together. That same night, there is a little party at the bar where Yuri drinks and tries Brown Brown, which is cocaine mixed with gunpowder. The bartender fixes it for him, saying it makes people feel invincible, so Yuri tries it. He ends up wandering the village, playing football with kids, and even spends time with a prostitute who takes his money. He keeps walking around the village and runs into some soldiers who try to shoot him. Still wandering, and hyenas show up but also ignore him. Perhaps the drug does make you invincible. Jack goes to his house, tells Ava the truth about Yuri. He tries to convince Ava to help them catch Yuri, but he doesn't succeed, but at least he has planted the seed in her mind. When Yuri comes home and Ava's is hurt, she can't wear anything that he has bought since she thinks they have blood on them because of Yuri's business. He puts the clothes back on and shows him the card Jack gave her. He tells her that it's not illegal, but she doesn't think it's right, so they argue. And she asks him to stop because they have enough money now, but he doesn't want to stop. He loves doing it. His enemies have finally found the one weakness of Yuri's, his family and his wife. So he stopped and went legit, trying to sell other things. Interpol has tapped his phones, and Jack doesn't believe any of this. One day, Yuri is going to meet Andrei because he's here for peace talks at the UN. Yuri is upset because there are definitely people following him, but Andrei wants to do some shopping while he's here. Andrei basically forces him with the high prices, so he agrees. Yuri thinks about his life because he's about to go back into the business again. He says goodbye to his wife, but he sees she lied when she says she trusts him. And when he leaves, she follows him with another car. He knows this, so leads her to the container, and when Yuri leaves, she guessed the combination and unlocked the door. When she stepped inside, she got to see the amount of guns Yuri had stored there, the papers, and his many passports. Yuri and Vitali are smoking and talking about both being clean. Vitali mentions opening his own restaurant, but Yuri convinces him to come do one more deal with him because he can't trust anyone else. Andrei is at the Monrovia airport, and Yuri comes by with Vitali. Andrei is amazed how Yuri got the guns with the world watching over the airspace, but Yuri has his ways. That's when Andrei tells him the guns are not for him, but for the neighboring country, Sierra Leone. He also tells him to take Andrei Jr. with them, so they load up the trucks and roll out. Andrei Jr. is shooting at the locals through the window, like a madman. They get there, and Yuri makes the cell, while Vitali looks out into the camp to see a kid and mom being killed, so he has a change of heart. They argue, but Yuri decides to go forward with the deal. Yuri didn't know what Vitaly was thinking, so when they went back to settle the deal, Vitaly goes to the shipment and takes a grenade when he gets caught by Andre Jr., but he hits Andre Jr. with a crowbar and blows up the truck. Vitaly gets shot in the process and dies right there in the desert. The explosion also killed Andre Jr. Andre Sr. will not be happy. A devastated Yuri makes the deal, and the soldiers kill the civilians in the camp, just like Vitaly predicted. Yuri pays a doctor to remove the bullets from Vitaly's body, but he missed one, so he gets caught with that single bullet. He calls his mom and dad, and they have disowned him. Jack has finally caught Yuri. He is smug and happy about this, and shows him a newspaper calling Yuri Merchant of Death. Yuri looks through the paper and tells Jack to enjoy this moment because soon a man ranked much higher than Jack will show up and get Yuri out because he is arming the soldiers the US wants armed but can't for diplomatic reasons. So Yuri tells Jack despite the crimes, he will not spend a single day in a jail cell. Yuri walks away a free man, guided by the military man who gives him some cash along the way. So he's back, doing what he does best. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our video. Watch the next recaps on the screen, and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.